The wheels are starting to come off the Leviathan release.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and this is going to be a bit of a wild video, I feel like. So it isn't quite the way I wanted this video to go, and a lot of things have happened, much like they did with the Dominion box set, strangely enough. So let's get into it now. If you're here for the unboxing build of Leviathan, which I super appreciate, by the way, and I got a lot of things to say about the actual product itself, because at face value, there's a lot of good things to be said about this product, and I really want to get into it. We're going to do a pricing breakdown. We're going to talk about the sprues and how GW will most likely put this at the path to market is going to take for all this stuff through the next 3-year cycle as we get into 11th edition, right? But I did want to say that probably this early tidbits, if you're not really into the hey, this is what's going on with GW, this is how retailers are getting screwed over and what's happening and the word on the street, skip ahead to that. We got all the the timestamps in there, and you can just jump ahead and go over there, and that's fine. And we'll probably cut this out and make this a separate video as well, for later on in the weekend and things, because I think it's important that people see what's happening with retailers and things. And remember, we don't get anything from Games Workshop. We never have to create content with, right? We are completely independent when it comes to dealing with Games Workshop, just because of the fact that we can say whatever we want. And we're one of the very few people out there that actually do it and hold them to account for a number of things that they do that you're not going to hear from other platforms. And I think that's very important, because as a former retailer myself, I do know the games they play, and I do know what they do to retailers. And it's very difficult to stand by on my channel and not mention these things to people, because a lot of retailers, and I'm sure everybody out there knows and have dealt with a lot of these folks, they pour their heart and their soul and maybe all their life savings, or maybe they just don't take a job and don't create a life savings because they are so passionate about this hobby and providing for their community, for the community, and getting folks those items and things. And since roughly February, they haven't been able to do that. Everything's been allocated. It's been a terrible time for retailers. It's a very slow economic time out there, especially right now in this early June time period. Things are very slow for a lot of retailers. Make no mistake, that is why so many people are coming out with so many releases this month, because it's the summer blockbuster season. That's why restaurants have their 2-for-1 deals and things like that during the summer, because people are out doing stuff. The last thing they're thinking about is toy soldiers. So it's very important. And you see it getting even worse as we get closer to back to school time, because not only are people not out doing stuff, but they're buying things for back to school. And that's when retailers start going out of business. That is the number one period for retailers to fail in the hobby, well, in general too. But that's when it happens. That's what happens, August and September. So, we're closing in on that fast, and retailers really need a big help this year, this month, well, this year in general, because it's to have all that play space and have all that GW merch on the shelf and not be able to get the things they need is a problem. Now let's fast forward to what's happening right now. You've probably heard, hey, Leviathan, we've got it. We got it. No caps. Everything's good, guys. Everything's good. All right. Well, here's what's actually happening. Retailers got an email at roughly 8 a.m. Monday morning here in the States, and they're like, hey, we're going to be calling you to get pre-order numbers. No idea what the price point was for the box. No, nothing. Just, we're going to call you sometime, answer your fucking phone before Wednesday, or else you're not getting anything. So a lot of retailers did, and they got great numbers. GW seemed to have a really good system in place for, but you basically sell this much stuff, so we think you want this many Leviathans. Okay, cool. And you only get this many of the freebies, the little dice tray and the extra deployment zone markers. Not cool, but okay, we'll take it. Like, what's the point of you're giving me, say, 100 boxes if I can only get 15 of the deployment zone tokens? All right, whatever. I'll overlook it. I'm about to make some money on this 100 Leviathans over here. It's great. Thank you. Finally, thank you. All right, cool. So day 2 comes around, Tuesday, right? And they go further down their list. They're calling people. They're like, we think you want this many. And some retailers are like, nah, I don't really want that many. And then, put it back in the pool and they kicked it out on some, their other retailers. And they, each of the trade sales reps or each of the reps do their own thing. And, they hook up who they can, right? And that's great. That's a great idea, because bigger stores have bigger needs. That just goes without saying, right? Come around to Wednesday, and there's starting to be rumblings of, hey, there might actually be allocations. Starting to hear that they only produce 72 to 75,000 of these, whereas the Horse Heresy box they produce roughly 100,000 of these, which is a lot. It's a lot of units. We talk about this all the time, that if you can't judge how much products sell by how many views videos get out there, right? So the top of the food chain, the top of the Warhammer gaming food chain pyramid on YouTube is roughly Squidmar, right? Like, it goes without saying, his videos crush it numbers wise, right? So, but imagine, like, he gets a video that gets right off the bat, first 24 hours, 200,000, right? Is there really 200,000 hobbyists out there actually buying product? And the answer is no, absolutely no, because GW would make way more than 100,000 units of anything. Hell, all of these hobby companies, Army Painter, Vallejo, anybody making tools, anything you see in stores would make way more units to sell to stores. That's just a fact. So there's a lot of folks that watch this content that aren't necessarily hobbyists, and God bless, thank you for watching this stuff, whoever you are, former, hobbyist, or maybe just people just interested in the hobby in general, or maybe it just comes up on their thing and they watch it, right? So that for GW to print 100,000 allegedly Horse Heresy boxes and then cut it back to 72 to 75,000 of Leviathan is kind of doesn't make sense to me, because 40K is more popular than Horse Heresy, right? But maybe they were like, wet feet, we're having a hard time moving stuff, stuff's going to liquidators, it's getting found in dumps, it's rotting on the pallets behind Nottingham, we talked about that, right? So okay, cool. Then you start to potentially run out, and that's what's happening right now into the later days of the week on pre-order week for Leviathan. Is retailers are getting a call and they're like, yo dog, you get 2, and they're just like, the fuck am I supposed to do with 2? And they're like, well, if we didn't allocate it, you'd be getting 0. Furthermore, not only that, but they are reaching back into the pot of people that they have already confirmed numbers with that have not been invoiced yet. And allegedly, and I've heard this, people have already reported in direct messages. They've sent me the email screenshots and things, as a lot of retailers do, because they understand I'm on their side as a former retailer here in the States. They're like, yo, they literally just reallocated me. I already pre-sold the number they told me. They said, yep, no caps, we're good. They pre-sold that number. And now they're like, I ain't getting that many. And you know what kind of an issue that causes? It's a feel badsy for customers. It's a feel badsy for that retailer that was finally like, I got the home run I needed after 5 months. After 5 months of pulling that football out from underneath me when I went to go kick it. After 5 months of eating ramen noodles because I couldn't get enough product to sell to feed myself or feed my staff, I finally get a home run. And nope, GW's taking it back. Dude, I cannot tell you, as a person in this hobby, how frustrating that is. And furthermore, not only that, but these folks are super frustrated at content creators who all, seemingly hundreds of them, got these boxes for free from Games Workshop and are out there just like, oh, everything's great. And I want to touch on that too, because that's a different subject that I feel like, these retailers and potentially folks like you watching at home or on your phones might be upset at them. And I would just stop and say, you should not be upset with them. You should not be upset. And this is just my opinion. I don't feel like you should be upset with anyone, whether big or small content creator, channel, platform, whatever, because they were approached by Games Workshop to shill for them, right? They either have a job to do, a family to feed, a side hustle to get, to pay for their hobby, and they were put in a position by Games Workshop. And I don't feel like we should be mad at them for trying to better themselves and their channel and their side hustle and their families. I think the problem is Games Workshop, y'all. Straight up. The problem is Games Workshop. And this is why we don't take things from Games Workshop. So we can make these type of videos and talk about these things because it's important and it's happening out there, and it's happening more and more with more and more companies. And whether it's, video game companies, and we could talk about that for a while, or other card or trading card companies, which we could talk about that for a while. But that's not the purview of this thing. I have been in the tabletop wargaming or tabletop hobby retail space for nearly 30 years. I would argue it has been 30 years at this point. I've had jobs when I was much younger at game stores. So I've pretty much been I've had skin in the game for 3 decades now. I understand in a lot of cases how it works, how these folks put their lives on hold. They they sink a lot of money into these businesses. And I get it, and I get it as a hobbyist too, because I love this stuff, and I love painting these miniatures that you see behind us. This is a lifetime's collection of miniatures of my own, and I'm very fortunate to have a lot of pieces from studios and folks out there that are very talented artists that might still be around, might still not be around, and this is a very important collection to me. Some of the very first stuff I airbrushed, those huge titans up there for Eldar. 10, 12 years ago, I learned from Kenny Boucher from Next Level Painting that you probably never even heard of 10, 12 years ago, but I did. And he took the time to teach me how to do all this stuff. And look at him now. It's an amazing story. But I think at the end of the day, we should not be upset with content creators because of them trying to better themselves. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, I get it. I get the easy hate, but I don't think that's the right place to be. I think the problem is Games Workshop and what they're doing and how they're just making it easy for scalpers and for the prices of this stuff to just go through the roof for no other reason besides I just don't get their logistics. I just don't get what is going on there, right? So now let's talk about the price. So we all know that at this point, the price of the Leviathan box is 150 pounds, Great Britain pounds, right? And we knew this at Warhammer Fest because it was part of the terms and conditions of their giveaway, right? So let me talk, and I've talked in this channel a lot about Games Workshop's arbitrage. So 150 Great Britain pounds is not, when you convert it out. Oh, I guess I could just do it right here and convert it out real quick. So let's just take a look. So 150 GBP to USD and get, okay, so that's 186.47. So obviously, there's going to be folks out there that say that say, hey, there's transportation costs coming across the ocean, putting it in store, destroying it, distributing it rather, getting it off the dock, fees, costs and things like that. And okay, I get that. But any other, a lot of other companies out there, there is an arbitrage between the pricing of things, right? So you can go to any other, for the most part, game manufacturer, tabletop wargaming manufacturer, and you can just go through the little dial on their site and check out what things are in different currencies. And it doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. It's generally pretty close within like $5 because of transaction fees, which you can't really get around. But for this particular box to be $250 US, $70 more, roughly, seems a little exorbitant. Multiply that by 75,000, which they probably didn't all come to here. I would say about 60% of them come to the States, but they're about 50-60. The States are about 50-60% of of Games Workshop's business, right? So you can extrapolate that number out. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I'm sure it's a lot of money, right? So it gets even worse. So GW has this like arbitrage thing that they do, right? They have some number and they're like, well, this many dollars is this many dollars, right? And or this many Great Britain pounds is this many US dollars. And that I get it. Like, that's cool. You do your thing. That's fine. But you can usually figure out what that exchange rate is, that arbitrage rate, by going to the site and finding something in the GBP price and then converting it to US dollars, which I'm about to show you. And this is how I forecast a lot of pricing and things when I don't have access to, for some reason their site's like super wonky right now. Let me see if I can get it to work. There we go. So we'll switch it to US. Huh. Look at that. Would you look at that? It says $230, which is exactly why I said, hey, the price of Leviathan is probably going to be $230, because when I saw it on 150 for the past 5-6 years, every time I knew the Great Britain price, I would be able to convert it doing something like this on either Forge World site or Games Workshop site to get the US dollar price. And even furthermore, $230 was or is the new price of battle forces and starter sets from Games Workshop since the February 2023 price increase. So it made 100% sense that this box set would be $230. But yet, here we are in June, and this box set is $250 for seemingly no fucking reason, straight up, besides greed. I'm not going to pull a punch. There's no other reason for this. Yeah, they're going to spend some money to get it over here, right? But here's the thing too, and let's talk about this for a second. If I can switch between the correct screens. Let's talk about this for a second. The former manager of Games Workshop North America directly said to me, bragged to me, as a matter of fact, that in 2005, they landed the Battle for McCrag box set in Memphis, Tennessee, the warehouse, from China. The whole box was made in China. They landed that box, landed in the warehouse, cost done, ready to send out to retailers well over 15 years ago for roughly $6 a unit. It was $5 or $6, $5 and change, $6 a unit. At the time, that was a $50 starter box. $50, right? Bragging about how much that is. Now you can extrapolate that cost. Now obviously costs have gone up in 2023 because of world stuff. But you can extrapolate like, yo, that's only like 10% of the retail price. You're making like 90% profit. Now granted, yes, they have to pay for all the staff. They have to pay for all the boxes. They have to pay for all the research and all the 18 months of developing things. And the cats that come over to jump in the boxes when you're trying to record. But you know how it goes. She's going to make noise. I apologize. But that's an exorbitant amount of money. Now think about that for a minute. That is their margin landed. The margin for getting this shit from Great Britain to America to the Memphis warehouse is already built in the price, y'all. There is no reason to go from 150 pounds to 250 US besides greed. They are making additional margin off the arbitrage. That's exactly what they are doing. There is, if you can convince me of a different argument of why that exists, besides the fact to artificially inflate their sales, please leave a comment, because I'm no macroeconomist, but I don't see any other reason when every other retailer sells it for the same thing, minus a little bit of a conversion fee on their sites. We've talked about this for a long time, and it's even more, it seems like even more higher greed right now when you can literally go back and look at this, and this was exactly correct for the last 5 or 6 years every time I've done it. But for this reason, sometimes it's for some reason it's $250. So, all right, cool, fine, whatever. Get your $250. If you can get it to stores can make money. Everybody's happy. There's cool minis in here. That's great. But please understand where I'm coming from a business standpoint. When I ask you to vote for your hobby dollars, because is it worth spending them directly with Games Workshop, or worth spending them at your local game store, assuming you like your local game store, or with a retailer you care about, an online retailer you care about, because obviously they're independent, they have families to feed, they have staff, etc., etc. Is it worth spending the money there to benefit them and grow their communities, their hobby, and their ability to provide for you? Or is it worth spending directly with Games Workshop, who does shit like this? Okay, so that is the doom and gloom, I guess, part of this particular video. If you're watching this and you're like, yo, this video is about to be over, well, jump over to our video actual unboxing so we can talk more about the dope ass minis in this box. and what I think of them, and what we're at path to market and things I think it's going to take. If you're currently in this video and there's like another half an hour or less, well, hey, scroll to the part you want to see, and I super appreciate you watching this video. This is, like I said, this is a little outro. We'll probably drop the first half as a separate video pretty soon as well. So let's take a look at the actual box set itself.